Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Matthew, and I will be one of your three hosts for this session. I am going to give a couple of minutes here for everyone to connect, but if you guys want to drop into the chat, you can do so in the bottom right corner of your screen. Just let us know where you're tuning in from or what brand you're representing. And we always love to see a bunch of familiar faces here. I already see you guys from the people list. I see a ton of faces I know. Awesome. Got New York City here, Ohio, Los Angeles, Washington State, California, of course. Love to see pretty good coverage so far already. We got UK in here, Cape Town, great to have you. Ontario, Canada. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to keep up at this point. Chicago, Utah, Philippines, great to have you. We're already covering like most of the world time zones at this point, I'm pretty sure. Japan in here. Awesome. Thank you guys for hopping right in. Really great to have everyone here. Hope you're all having a great week so far. We've got a ton of content in this webinar, and luckily I am accompanied by two experts. I will do their intros in a few minutes here, but I'm going to go ahead and start with a quick poll. I want to just see what you guys think. You're all e-commerce experts in your own right, and I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this. You might already have looked into this or researched it before, so definitely let your knowledge shine here. And I'm just wondering, how much more website traffic do you think e-commerce brands will see on average on Black Friday when compared to average October days? So we're seeing a multiple here, either 1.5 times more, 3 times more, 5 times more. You guys can let us know what you think here. Excited to see where we're at here. So thank you guys for all the submissions already. Right now, 4 times the amount is in the lead. And yeah, it's kind of back and forth between 4 times more or 3 times more. So you guys are already in the ballpark. I'll give you a heads up on that. But before actually getting underway with the session, I think we have a pretty good amount of viewers here. Some more people will be connecting, but we got to get this thing going. So in case this is your first time joining us for one of these special event webinars, these are all automatically recorded, and the recording is made available to the email you're registered with automatically. However, you will also receive like a specific follow-up for this event, which is going to contain all of the resources we talk about. There's going to be tons of hyperlinks and links to a Help Center article, which contains basically the entire script. So you will have access to everything automatically in that follow-up. We will be sharing a few resources on screen throughout the session as well, but those are also included in those follow-ups. So you will have multiple places to access both the replay as well as a bunch of other things we're going to be sharing. So all of that being said, we have tons of poll results here. Looks like most of you, the majority is correct here. We are looking at about 3 times the amount of visits to websites on e-commerce sites on Black Friday versus a regular October day. And the visualization here is from qit.com. So pretty interesting. It's good to know that a bunch of you already more or less knew this. Majority of the votes were between 3x, 4x, and 5x. So I like that you guys are preparing for even higher volumes, which, who knows, this year could be the biggest Black Friday ever. Another key takeaway here, just in the footer, I just wanted to include a couple of little details to kind of set the stage for the discussions today. So online shoppers spent a record of $9.12 billion on 2022 Black Friday, which is up 2.3% compared to 2021. So with inflation top of mind, of course, a lot of US consumers were pretty much looking for deeper discounts and flexible ways to pay. So things like buy now, pay later options were super popular last year. We can pretty much rest assured they're going to be popular options this year. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you can support it, buy now, pay later is a huge feature, and we are going to touch on that in this discussion a little bit later on as well. So title of this session, of course, is Black Friday, Cyber Monday Secrets Revealed. So we are going to be covering a range of different ways that you can both optimize your Gorgias account and your total brand operations in order to gear up for the holiday season. So making sure you're prepared for these higher amount of visitors, which of course is associated with a higher volume of billable tickets. Having more support inquiries means you need ways to handle these low impact inquiries, deflect when you possibly can, and offer your shoppers ways to find information on their own. So these are pretty much going to be more or less the main talking points that myself and my two speakers here are going to be discussing. And as far as my guest speakers, we are joined by Bree as well as Natalie. Bree is our director of support, and Natalie is a CSM and PSM. They will both have their own time to do their intros in a moment. But yeah, they are two experts from two different scopes of CX. So Bree is literally our director of support. She knows the ins and outs of support metrics, tracking efficiencies, how to approach certain support topics. And Natalie is pretty much an expert of everything success related. She's done all different types of tasks at Gorgias. She's a master of many things, including communication, handling actual customer accounts with real world applications. And she's got a proven track record. I'll let her discuss it in a little bit. So first up, we are going to jump into the first section, which is optimizing the Gorgias account. And I'll now bring Bree to the stage, and we see here the topics we're going to be talking about. So Bree, if you want to give us a quick intro on what you do here and what you've done in the past, and then we'll take it from there.
Sure. Awesome. Thanks, Matthew. So my name is Bree. As Matthew shared, I am our director of support here at Gorgias, and I've been on the team for about a year and a half, and it's been an amazing journey. Our team has grown, both our regions that we support. So we support all of our customers 24/7. And when I joined, most of our team was based in Serbia. Now we have folks in Buenos Aires and all across the globe. So that's been really cool to see the team grow over the past year. What we do here and the types of things that I support, it's everything from all tickets that are coming into the team, both kind of basic how-to questions to more complex troubleshooting questions. We also offer one-on-one office hour calls for folks. Some of you may have taken those before, but it's really a way to get that one-on-one support to dive deeper into some of these types of topics. And then previously to joining Gorgias, I worked in a lot of e-commerce brands. So the last company I worked at was a really small startup. It was a subscription service for mental wellness, and we were serving mostly women through a pen to paper journal, an app mindfulness tool. And then previously to that, I spent 7 years at Stitch Fix, where I worked on the support team. I also did some work on the product side, building tools to really scale the operations there. So I know really well how important it is to get ahead of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and I'm excited to dig into some of these topics. It's definitely something we think about here at Gorgias a lot, and we've been doing a lot of preparation to make sure that we're getting ahead. And so really the topics that we're going to be going over, one bucket is more around how do you set up the help desk to really optimize for the busy season. So that's things like views, rules, and macros. And then talking more about things that are customer facing. So flows, so how are you deflecting contacts up front? How are you driving more revenue through those flows, or things like chat campaigns? And then also deflecting contacts through the help center. So excited to dig into all of these topics.
Awesome. Yeah, well, you're a super valuable asset to have here speaking. We really appreciate you being able to join. Before actually jumping into this section, I just wanted to touch on what I just posted into chat. So anyone who might be first timers here on this platform for one of our sessions, you can use the dedicated questions tab in the lower right corner of your screen, right next to the chat one. You can either submit your own questions or you can upvote other viewers' questions pretty much throughout the entire session. And then at the very end, we're going to have about 15 minutes or so for Q&A, where we're going to move from the most upvoted questions all the way down the list as far as we can go before, we inevitably have to wrap up. So we will get through as many questions as possible, and any lingering questions, we will do our best to follow up individually. There's not really a great way for us to answer these for everyone. So definitely make sure you upvote questions you're interested in to ensure that, those relevant ones get answered first. So all of that being said, we have quite a bit here to jump into as far as optimizing the Gorgias account. And I pretty much just wanted to lay out kind of this section. So these are tried and true ways to pretty much deliver high quality support, reach your goals and make sure that you're on top of your incoming support inquiries, even throughout holiday season. So some of these might seem, from the outside looking in like, oh, well, these are go-to items. But those simple practices are kind of fundamental to some of the more intricate things we're going to get on later into this session. So having your basic rules, views, and macros ready to go is just going to make everything else so much easier. So we want to make sure we're setting ourselves up for success. We don't want to start, on our back foot going into the holiday season, because that can very quickly become super overwhelming. So first ticket item here, well, I didn't mean to make that pun, but we're going to roll with it. First big ticket item is our views. So setting up your views and organizing them so that your tickets are in a nice and, easily handled way. You want to have some things in place to ensure things move smoothly. So things such as service level agreements, filtering your chat campaigns into specific views, or prioritizing VIP customers. I think all of these are pretty top of mind for most e-commerce brands, and I think Bree definitely has some tips here.
Yeah, cool. So I want to start, and actually, if you can go to the next slide, I think this is a great example where we can kind of look at some of the mechanics. And as you mentioned, Matthew, we'll be sending out all of this afterwards, so people will have this resource to set these things up. But especially for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I think these 3 views can really help from a workflow management perspective. So I'm going to speak to each of these and give some real world examples of how I've seen these play out, and then kind of talk about what the setup looks like. So for the first one on the SLA side, it's really important. And I know this is not just for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. SLAs is something that we all think about on support all the time. It's how quickly are we getting back to merchants and our customers. And here at Gorgias, so for email, our first reply time, our SLA is 4 hours. For chat, we're trying to get back to folks within a few minutes. And so that's really the service level that we've set out to do. We all know that sometimes we get backlogs, sometimes we have spikes in tickets. And so my suggestion, both for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but also year round, is really setting up a view where you can look at all of your tickets that are within your SLA. So for the example I shared here at Gorgias, within 4 hours, and then setting up a view for tickets that are falling outside of that SLA. And why that's important, especially for this time of year, is as you're seeing more tickets come in, it's going to be important that your team is prioritizing and really having all hands on deck any of those tickets that are starting to fall outside of your SLA. It will also give you a good gauge on how often is that happening? Is it happening more often? Do you need to start offering things like overtime? If you have other levers to pull, maybe you're working with a BPO or a staffing agency and you need to up their hours a little bit. That's another lever that you can pull as you're starting to see more tickets go past your SLA. I also wanted to just share one other real world example and a tip that I have. So one example is we've had times where we start to have a huge backlog, and I'm sure a lot of you have experienced that before, and it feels like you're digging and digging and digging and you can't get out of it. I like to create an SLA view with really old tickets. We call them like our oldies view, and then we have a dedicated workforce just kind of digging through that backlog. And then the rest of the team is still answering tickets as they come in. The reason that I recommend this, and this is just a good lever to have if you find yourself in this situation during this holiday season, is if you think about it, there might be 20% of your customers who maybe aren't getting the best experience. You're a little bit slow on responding back to them. But that 80%, you can still be providing a great service to them by answering them in real time with that dedicated workforce working through the oldies view. And so that's just one tip. And I know definitely this time of year, you're going to have some spikes and some days where you're starting to fall behind. So it's great to really be looking at that visually in the views and then organizing the teams around managing those views day to day. So that's one example on the SLA side. I'm going to move into the VIP view. So I really like this one a lot. The way that I think about VIPs, and there's a bunch of different ways depending on your business. This might be customers of yours who spend the most. It might be customers who order a ton of orders with you. Another example that I think is less utilized, but sometimes you'll have customers that maybe just have had a really bad customer experience. Maybe they've had multiple items that are damaged, or they're a big churn risk, and it's something that you've done as a business and you want to make it right. And you want to make sure that they are getting white glove customer service and that they're getting prioritized over some of your other customers that are writing in. And so it can be anything from those customers who are really loyal to the ones that are more on the churn side, however you want to define that. So there's some cool things that you can do to set up rules. We'll get into that in a minute, where you're automatically tagging customers with this VIP tag. You can also tag customers in the system manually as well if you have one-offs. But the idea here is you have a view, and then all customers who have a certain order value, or maybe those churn risk customers, go into this view, and you have a subset of your team who are prioritizing this view over other tickets in the queue. And so that might mean you have faster SLAs with those customers. It might mean you have some of your team members who are your rock stars, who you know are going to give the best in class experience that's really personalized to these customers. But I think it's a really great way to organize the work. And so I would definitely think about that going into Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Who are those customers that you want to make sure have a great experience? And then the last one here from a view management perspective. So this is filtering all tickets from a certain campaign into a view. And you might want to do that because you're wanting to prioritize responses to those campaigns. This can be on a chat campaign side. Another example I would provide that I've done is, let's say you're doing a proactive outreach to customers that all are going to have a delay in their shipment. And we know, especially during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, people are very sensitive around their orders arriving on time, but there's some delay in your warehouse, and you need to send out a proactive message that, the orders are going to be delayed by a few days. By sending out that message, you can set up a rule that anyone who is replying to that email gets a tag based off of the subject line of that email that's going out. And then you can put all of those tickets into a queue and then prioritize those above any other tickets that are coming in. So that's one example. Also, the example here is more focused on chat campaigns. So if you're running a certain chat campaign and you want to make sure that you're prioritizing responses to that, you can set up a view to organize the work in that way as well.
Nice. So I did have one question come in chat, and I think that this is just going to segue into our next topic. So most questions I will be kicking off until the Q&A section, but if they're really timely and I think it's going to lead in nicely, I will be answering them or allowing Bree or Natalie to answer them live. So this one was just asking, can we identify a customer as VIP on their customer record instead of creating rules for each customer? So I think, Bree can probably speak to this.
Yeah, I think that's a great segue. So views and rules, there's a lot of overlap. You can really utilize rules to kick off some auto tagging that happens, and then you can use those tags to set up the views that we just discussed. So actually, if you want to go to the next slide, I can show the group just specifically to that question. So if you look here on the left-hand side, this is a way to automate that process. So to that question, yes, there is a way where you can set up a rule to auto tag customers with this VIP tag. So the great thing here, what this is doing is it's looking at customers, and you can set whatever standard you want. So let's say for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you want to define VIP as anyone who's spent more than $1,000 with your brand, or they've ordered more than 3 orders. So that's what this example is showing, but really you can do anything. And then when that person writes in, this rule will run. It will tag that ticket as VIP, and then automatically you can have that in the view and have your team prioritize those tickets over the other tickets that are coming in. So this is a really cool and easy rule that you can set up that really ties this flow together. On this note, since we're here, so just this is another great example of rules, and really the grounding of rules, right, is it's a way to really automate some of these workflows. So this is a way to automate this tag process. This example on the right here, this is a way that you can auto tag certain campaigns and then again feed that into a view. And I know I'm talking just about the rule to view correlation, but you can also use these types of workflows to be tagging certain tickets so you can report on those tickets. So I'll give a great example, kind of back to that proactive outreach you might want to do for merchants where you're going to have a delay in their order. Let's say you just want to understand what was the impact of that, how many people reached out because of that delay. You can set up a rule like this that looks at subject line. It can auto tag those tickets. And then at the end of the month or the end of the quarter, you can report out, hey, that delay caused this many contacts, AKA this much like dollar amount was spent, or whatever that translates into from the metrics you care about for your business. Yeah, I'll pause there.
Awesome. I do want to very briefly just come back to this, since we did kind of skim over it, and just touch on this next kind of group of optimizations, which does include, of course, those VIP tags, tagging campaigns. There's also a bunch of other ones which are super, sometimes simple, something like business hours being tagged. That can obviously have some other implications and applications. So Bree, I was just wondering, what are your go-to, I guess, reasons for tagging business hours or tagging intents and sentiments, and just kind of walking through for any of our viewers who might not have encountered intents and sentiments? I feel like we probably have a pretty large population that falls into that category here. So,
yeah. So for business hours, funny enough, I was just working with one of our customers around setting this rule up. And one thing I will just plug, which is really easy, I was helping them get this set up. And there's actually a template for this. So if you don't have business hours already set up in your help desk, it's really easy. It's like a click of a button and then it's ready to go. And then what the rule is doing is it's tagging, all tickets that are coming in during your business hours versus all tickets that are coming in outside of business hours. There's a lot of great use cases for this. So for this particular customer, we were really wanting to understand their first reply time for chat during business hours versus outside of business hours. So it can help you get a little more granular on some of those key metrics that you're driving. I think another great thing, and yes, there's other places to look on our stats page around this, but it's good to know what % of your tickets are coming in during business hours versus outside of business hours. And what that might indicate to you is, let's say 60% of your tickets are coming in outside of business hours. You might want to consider having some more support team members available during different hours than you have staff today, if you want to be providing a different level of service. So it does help indicate and drive some business decisions long term on what you might want to be doing there. So yeah, I think those are kind of two main things that I think about on the business hour side. I'll just add one other thing. I think something interesting to look at is the types of questions that you're getting also. Maybe they differ depending on when people are available versus not. So just some other like deep dives you can be doing based off of fields or tags based off of when tickets are coming in. On the intents and sentiments. So this is something that I definitely recommend for people to be looking into. And this just allows you to understand what the customer is writing in about, what their intent of their contact is. This is a way to move faster. So by setting this up, your teams can understand more quickly, okay, what is this actual contact about? Where is the customer coming from? All of that good stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. Really, I think tagging business hours is one of those things that's easy to overlook. And sometimes, after the fact, after a few weeks or months, you realize you wish you had turned it on. And like you said, it is something that is readily available in our rule templates. So you can literally just go and one-click install. And I think you definitely covered all of the topics or reasons to do so that I could think of. So thanks for your input there. Now, our next point of discussion is going to be surrounding macros. For anyone who's completely unaware of macros, these are pre-made responses that allow you to respond to customers quicker. They can also assist in kind of having more consistent and branded support messaging. So if you do kind of prioritize having a voice for your brand, I think that macros really allow for a lot of control there. And they're really good season specifically for fulfillment delays or product choosing, just to have some of these things handy. So Bree, I guess, what are your go-to BFCM specific applications of macros, and where does that lead into, and what does it benefit to the actual agents as well as the brand?
Yeah. So I think what's really usually different around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I know, especially being more on the e-commerce side in the past, and you kind of mentioned this, Matthew, there's like fulfillment delays that just happen more naturally this time of year. There might be policy changes that are coming. So maybe you usually have like one return policy, but you're extending that because of the holidays. That's a really common one that I see a lot. I'm trying to think of a few other examples like this. Really any policies that are going to change. Oh yes, one, gift cards tend to start to uptick. So if you're selling gift cards on your site, there may be some specifics around like shipment around that, or maybe some more clarity on like how to apply those gift cards. So what I would suggest doing is if this is your first year going through Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you're going to learn a lot, but really try to think about and anticipate the types of questions you're going to be getting, and think about the policies that you want to change or update, and then adding those into either your existing macros is helpful, or creating a holiday specific macro and making sure that your teams are trained on what's going to be changing for this season. If you have gone through Black Friday, Cyber Monday before, so let's say last year was your first year, you've been through this a few times, I always suggest that you go through historics. And so look at the tickets that you were getting last year, look at the trends that you were seeing, and you'll be able to pull out of that, oh, we should have gone ahead on this messaging. Oh, we should have been more upfront about this coming. Oh, we forgot to get the team trained on this. Use that as an opportunity to kind of retro on what came in before, and then add those responses and get the team ready before Black Friday, Cyber Monday hits. I would say the main buckets, just to kind of recap, anything around shipping, anything around returns, anything around refund policies that might be changing, and updating those not just in your macros, but making sure they're updated across the entire customer journey. So that's if you have a help center, updating there. If you have emails that are going out, updating there. If there's anything you need to update on your terms and conditions, just make sure you have yourself covered.
Awesome. So moving into an example here, pretty much just showing one way to address some fulfillment delays. So just speaking to one of the few examples Bree mentioned, yeah, being equipped with something like this where, your agents aren't scrambling each time someone reaches out about a order that's already delayed. If you're already expecting a delay, you need to be equipped with these kinds of macros. So any other topic that you might see coming, the best that you can forecast these things ahead of time and you can be less reactive and a little more proactive is definitely going to go a long way. And spare your team from scrambling. Obviously, during these high ticket times, any amount of scrambling or wheel spinning is just going to allow those tickets to pile up. So it's just going to kind of exacerbate your issues there and put your team under a little bit more stress than necessary. We're getting great questions coming in, by the way. I really appreciate you guys all jumping into the chat. I do want to be mindful of the time here, so I'm just going to keep things moving, but I will be sticking around and answering as much as I can in those Q&A, that Q&A section towards the end. So I just wanted to be sure to address you guys. But next topic here is going to be flows. So flows are super powerful. I'll probably just let Bree do this intro because I think there's a lot to sink into here, and I want to definitely let her highlight the most important aspects of flows.
Cool. I will start with saying I love flows. So if you haven't checked out flows yet and you don't have Automate, I highly recommend that you check it out. Here on the Gorgias support team, we started using flows a few months ago. And just to give some context, we've been really working on reducing the number of contacts that we've been getting into our team. And through our automated features, specifically flows, we've been able to reduce our contact rate by 20% since the start of the year. So there is true big impact here. So with flows, there's kind of two ways that I think about flows as a feature. And if you're not familiar, we'll look at what flows do, but really it's a way for customers to get their questions answered in an automated way. And it's a decision tree where they can select what their question's about. And then it can be really complex or really simple. So we'll look at a few different examples around this. So from a flow perspective, when we really ground on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, so we talked about, okay, you're going to have all these tickets coming in. How can you help mitigate some of that through views and rules and macros? And that's all great. But also really thinking about this lever that's a bit more proactive. So it's how do you prevent those contacts from coming in altogether? And that's where flows and our automate features can really help here. So this is actually an example from our team here at Gorgias. And this is a great example of how to automate these questions altogether. So the way that we've set up our flows is we have our most common questions that we get on different setups of the help desk. So you'll see an example here. If someone has a question about email integration, then the flow will bring them to this response. And then there's another kind of decision tree where someone can select setup, FAQ, or troubleshooting to dig in a little bit more if their question wasn't answered. And then that decision tree keeps going and going. So really the example here is you can be as complex as you want, or you can be a little more simple. And so a way that I would suggest starting, especially if you're looking to deflect contacts during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, is really look at your top questions. So if you have a help center, you can look at your FAQs. That's a great place to start. If you are tagging tickets, you can look at your most commonly tagged tickets, or if you're using fields, what your top fields are, and then really translating that into these are the top 5 questions that our customers are going to reach out about, and then drilling into like, okay, what is it about returns? Do they want to know? What is it about the policy around gift cards that they want to know? Whatever that thing is for you and your team. And we can go to the next slide, which kind of highlights this flow on an example in the back end. So this is how flows are set up within the product itself. It's like a tree builder. This example here is a little more on the, it's answering the customer question, but the other thing I want to position here is there is an opportunity to help customers get to the right product. So you can also think about flows as a revenue driver as well. this example here is someone's trying to figure out what shoe is right for them. And then you can start to see the decision tree. So how much cushion are you looking for in the fit? Light cushion, medium cushion. I'm always extra cushion, so I guess that one's not highlighted here. And then this particular customer would land on go with shoe A. And then eventually that could convert to an actual sale. So that's another way to really utilize flows. So if there's certain things that you're trying to push within the product during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you could also set up flows and have them utilized like this. And then Matthew, next slide here.
I did want to very briefly touch on this specific slide just to visualize it. So if this flow does result in a ticket, the agent is going to receive all of those responses pretty much entering into that ticket. So it's really going to allow them to be equipped and ready to address the specific selections that that customer made, just offering a little bit more prescriptive support rather than, kind of just starting from scratch. So just wanted to make sure to communicate that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And to just add one other thing to that, I've also heard from my team, because you have all of that information coming in, it helps speed up how quickly you can help that customer. So even if it does result in a ticket in the end, it helps from an efficiency standpoint regardless, which is great. And then this is a great example of one of our merchants, Brewmate. So this shows the decision tree, really narrowing down and helping the customer get to the type of water bottle that they're looking for. And so another great example of just how this can help narrow down the product search as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, really, really great application. And even though this is kind of flying through the flow, you at least get an idea on what that customer experience looks like. It is super sleek, and then they can browse products on this page. So yeah, I love that example as well. Next topic here is Help Center. You guys are killing it with the questions, by the way. I'm trying to keep up in the chat as best I can. Help Center. So this is something that everyone has access to regardless of which plan you're on. You can actually have multiple help centers turned on at once. And even if you don't want to use something like a public-facing help center, as in the form of your FAQ articles, which I'd say in most cases, overwhelming majority, this is going to be a great asset to have for you, just to offer your shoppers ways to find information on their own and kind of self-serve and find answers without having to even reach your support. Even if you don't want to use the help center in that way, you could potentially use a help center for internal purposes. So we like to talk about having a doomsday plan, especially for the holidays. Maybe detailing how to handle difficult decisions or escalations for particular problems. You want to make sure all of those are really clearly laid out. In making them accessible to your team, you can do so in an unlisted help center. So you can actually have an entire help center full of internal information that's only accessible through a direct link, and then basically equipping all of your agents with that access so that they can very quickly search for their topics, whatever ticket they might be in at the moment, they can quickly find their own answers on what the process should be, how to handle it and move forward or escalate. So lots of different options here with help centers, but just help centers in general, great for shipping policies, including any kind of return or exchange policies, obviously, especially for first-time shoppers, making these things readily available, easy to find and searchable. These are all obvious, huge wins, low-hanging fruit, in my opinion. You can get set up with a help center pretty quickly, especially using our downloadable templates. They already have categories and article outlines ready to go. You just need to pretty much edit the content or upload the template and then edit that content. You can always switch things around later as well. So you can make changes retroactively, removing categories or reorganizing the whole thing. But yeah, if Bree, you could speak to some specifics for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I think this is a huge asset.
Yeah. I know I kind of sound like a broken record, but kind of fact tying to the macros and just really getting ahead of those questions that are going to be particular for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So you have a few things listed here. It's what is your return and exchange policy? If that is changing for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you should update that on your help center. Your shipping policy, that might look a little bit different for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, for example. something we did at my last company was we were really clear that you needed to order by a certain date in order for things to arrive by the holidays. And so that probably looks a little bit different in December than the rest of the year. So updating the Help Center to reflect that. And then if you want to go to the next slide, this might be a good visual for folks on just an example of a really great Help Center from one of our merchants. So this really highlights how easy it is to find the Help Center. The other thing I'll just share, and this again being a broken record, but it's just really important that you have this information really visible. So flows is one way to do that. Help Center is another way. It's like, what are all the customer touch points where you can be showing all these common questions to really deflect those contacts? I really like to think about all these automated things. They're like empty calorie contacts. They're the things that really customers just want a quick answer. They don't need to talk to one of your team members. So get your Help Center kind of ready and easy to find those common questions for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And then a really nice thing here that's showing up is just the ability for customers to be able to self-serve. So they're able to track their order here. They're able to return an order. They're able to cancel an order. So this just shows some of those automate features that are available in the Help Center that you can plug in and use so customers can really self-serve. And then when you actually are getting tickets, it's the stuff that's of high value where you can really help them and keep them as a customer through the season.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I am going to post a link into the chat. So those order management flows we see here, the track, return, cancellation requests, all of those are a part of the Automate add-on. So I will be sharing a link where you can schedule a demo to see this for yourself. You can see all of the functionality in depth. So that's what I'm going to post to the screen now. You can just dismiss it if you're uninterested, but I wanted to at least make it available. This link will also be available in the follow-ups, by the way. But moving into pretty much talking about removing your emails from your website and basically replacing them with a contact us in the form of like a contact form. You can build these into your Help Center directly, or you can have these on, these can contain flows rather, as well as order management, one or the other or both. And yeah, Bree, if you have any talking points on this particular note, I know we are a little bit late or behind here on time. So yeah, if we need to move to the next slide, that's fine as well.
Okay. Yeah, the one thing I'll just say, I definitely, again, highly recommend the contact form versus just an email. And this kind of comes back to, you know, you're going to be getting a lot of volume during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. How can you make sure that those tickets that are coming in are giving you as much information to start with so your teams can like quickly help those customers? So a contact form allows your customers to input exactly what they need help on, and then your team isn't going back and forth to try to figure that out. So it just helps from an efficiency play. So highly recommend this. There's also some cool stuff you can do with routing. So for example, with the contact form, you can route certain types of contacts into a view. I have a lot of tips and tricks on like, I don't know if anyone here has done like power hours, but with teams, I've had everyone for an hour work on just like exchange requests. And you can organize that work through the contact form in a more seamless way, which is really helpful. But yeah, we can move on to the next slide.
Yeah, so this one is pretty much just a quick demonstration of article recommendations in chat. So essentially, article recommendations are another Automate add-on feature where you get to tie your Help Center articles directly into your deflection opportunities within chat or email. So when customers organically reach out about a specific topic, if it has common verbiage to one of your Help Center articles, the system's automatically going to suggest that. And that's what we're seeing from one of our merchant examples here. So that's obviously a huge asset to have, especially during these high volume times. Just another one of these low calorie or low impact inquiries that Bree mentioned earlier. We are going to have to continue on here, moving on into chat and specifically focused on campaigns. So chat campaigns are another aspect or another feature included within chat, which is available to everyone regardless of which plan you're on. You can have several campaigns running across multiple URLs or multiple campaigns running on the same URL. And then you have some control on when these are automatically going to prompt your website viewers. So you can basically initiate a chat interaction with them, offering them help checking out, offering them a bundle of products. You can link them specific products, maybe if you want to offer them some sort of a discount, or if you just want to redirect them to some of your best-selling products. So you can choose how long after the customer's been on this URL before they see the actual message. And then you get additional options within there. But yeah, I'll let Bree speak to these campaigns a little bit, and then we'll move to the next level of chat campaigns. There is a little bit more beyond this.
Yeah. I think, so one thing I just want to add here, and the way I think about kind of all of these different levers. So again, to ground, it's like you have macros, rules, and views, which are really your like help desk management. It's kind of your like reactive management. It's like tickets are coming into the team. And then you have your proactive levers during this time. So it's like deflecting tickets. You can do that through all these automate features, through the help center, all of that great stuff. And then this is really the like icing on the cake. And it's like, how do you take your teams from a reactive, proactive ticket space? And then how do you really use Gorgias to generate revenue? And so chat campaigns are a really easy and great way. And Matthew already spoke to a lot of this, but it's a great way to start driving results and revenue. So I wonder actually, Matthew, if you want to go to the next slide and I can just show this example. Okay, so this is a great example of a chat campaign, and there's a lot of different things you can set up. This particular example, so here the customer is sitting on the site. You can do a time limit. So let's say they're sitting on a certain page, and after X amount of seconds, this chat campaign pops up, and it says, hey, we're having a sale. Buy any 3 books from the classic range and receive free shipping. And then, so this is a great example of how you can move the team from reactive to proactive. The example here too is if someone responds, it's creating a ticket for the team. And this goes back to some of the things we talked about with views, kind of filtering these chat campaigns into one place. But there's a lot we can do here. I wonder, Matthew, like how much are we sending to after this, just on all the areas that you can leverage chat campaigns? And then maybe talk a little bit about Convert and where we're going with chat campaigns overall.
Yeah, so we at least have this kind of hinting into some of the kind of functionality of the Convert add-on. It's pretty much just going to allow you a lot more granularity in segmenting and targeting with these campaigns. So you can actually target things like currently visited product or number of visits to this page, time spent per visit. All of these can be used as triggers before that campaign is shown. You can even exclude, particular devices if you only want to show campaigns on mobile versus desktop. You have a whole lot of control there. You can also choose to show campaigns individually versus showing kind of stacked multiple campaigns on one page. So you could potentially build a pretty complex system of flows with these campaigns, almost like multiple campaigns in one page even. And I'm going to go ahead and share the link to schedule this Convert demo as well. I don't want to, post too many things to the screen, but I think this one's pretty important and timely because it seems like you guys are definitely interested in this kind of thing just based on the chat questions. So pushing this call to action now. But I will send as much information as I can and just kind of pack the follow-up email with additional details on virtually all of these topics, but especially campaigns, because there's a lot that it's really hard to cram into a one session here. But I'm going to go ahead and post this. Yeah, Bree, anything else on Convert or campaigns in general?
I don't think so. Not for today. But yeah, to your point, there's like a lot more to dive into. And so I would just highly recommend that if people want to learn more, to book some time. The demo link that you sent, I think that's really valuable. And this is like a huge way. I know a lot as like support leaders, at times, our targets are really on the cost side, but this is really a way to be driving revenue. And so it's a really great story as a support team that you can be bringing to other partners in the business to say, hey, look how much we on support were able to drive from a revenue standpoint this Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It's a great way to partner with your marketing teams on certain promos. So anyway, there's just so much to dig in here. Highly recommend that people book a demo and learn more, and then try some of these things out this Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bree. That is the pretty much end of her portion of this session. And I know that she has to run to catch a flight. So I do want to just have everyone, give her a shout out and a thank you in chat if you enjoyed what she had to say and her insights. I think it was a really great portion of the event. Now, we are at a bit of a time crunch here. This is technically when I would have liked to begin our Q&A section. So I do kind of want to get the chat's response here. So we have this whole section, which is to be presented by Natalie. She hasn't even done her intro yet here. She's been patiently waiting. To be honest, we had so much content in this webinar that it's really hard to fit into an hour. So I will let you guys just kind of voice your opinions in chat on. Natalie has offered to either record a Loom, which I could include in the follow-up, covering all of the topics she was going to discuss. It would also include the presentation itself. So if you think a Loom would work well, or if you would prefer if we stick around and hang after, I don't know if that's even an option for Natalie necessarily, but I will definitely be sticking around and answering Q&A as much as I can. So it looks like Loom is overwhelming majority here, Natalie. So if you want to just do your intro, or at least just chat with people, and then I'll start Q&A shortly after.
Beautiful. I will make it very short and sweet. Bree is great. I'm glad that got to happen live. Appreciate the nice shout outs I see in the chat. I promise I will deliver on a Loom. I have some people in the chat that can vouch for my Looms, I promise.
You're famous.
I'm low-key famous. Just kidding, guys. Don't expect anything crazy. I will deliver, though, via Loom. A little bit about who the heck is sending you this Loom if I have not had the pleasure of working with you yet. I actually have just been at Gorgias exactly 2 years. Today is my anniversary, so we are celebrating together. I have been in the tech space for a while now, a little bit at Google, a little bit at a health startup, One Medical, depending on where you are in the country. In the US, you might know it. So a lot of familiarity with working with these tiny startups of 5 people all the way to Google. So learned a lot, want to bring all of that knowledge to you. I am a customer success manager here at Gorgias and also working with our partners. Thank you all for the lovely anniversary wishes. So I just want to combine all of the learnings that I've taken and really just give them to you guys. So a little preview of what you will get in the Loom. A lot of customer support. It starts at Gorgias, but it actually seeps a lot into your website. So making sure that you guys' site is set us and how that intertwines with Gorgias. How to kind of practice the worst case scenario, just from a logistics standpoint, to make sure that no actual panic happens when the time happens, and just making sure that you know what kind of people are at your disposal to make sure that you guys are ready to roll. So fun Loom coming your way, and hopefully Matt and I can answer some questions. I do have to leave exactly at 2 p.m. EST, but we can tag team these.
Awesome. All right. Yeah. So we'll just jump right in here. First question is from Alicia, asking, can you group macros by subject topic when creating? There's just a long list. So I know we can organize them by tags, but Natalie, do you have any kind of workaround for this kind of thing?
Yeah, so the short and sweet answer that probably no one loves too much is it's coming. So they are actually working, and I've actually seen it in a testing phase. So it really is genuinely coming. Grouping macros either by store, kind of like a first tier, second tier. So it is coming. Definitely better than we'll see. Kayla, I'm with you. But honestly, the best way I tell people now is just to really be thoughtful about your naming conventions. So if you are doing a multi-brand, brand A and then dash return brand A intro, etc. Just because the search functionality for macros is pretty strong. And the more that you use, they'll start to kind of auto-populate on a per agent basis and recommend them naturally by default. So just be thoughtful about what you're naming them. Make sure that you're all naming them the same way, and constantly kind of be spring cleaning your macros until it's formally natively organized, but it is coming.
Awesome. I did not know about that, so that's good to know. I think the next top voted question. So Kevin asks, do you have examples of some good BFCM macros you can share? Do you have any off the top of your head?
I probably don't. There's some brands that I think are killing it that I'm sure are like somewhere hiding in this chat and being like, we do, if you want to share them. I will say, I think this is a good one we can loop in with Bree, just because she sees it more from like a direct kind of standpoint than me sometimes, and also a good plug for the Gorgias community. So I'm sure if you guys have attended Fireside Chats before, get all of our emails. The community is a great place. There's no gatekeeping in the community. So like, feel free to ask that question. And I'm very positive that people are willing to share. I know we used to have a playbook. I don't know how long ago, maybe the macro portion got updated, but I will do a little bit of sleuthing and see if I can get you guys some good macros. Matt and I are on the case.
Just off the top of my head, though, just from brands that I've personally worked with, I know that including macros with your go-to discounts, so whatever specials you're running specific to Black Friday or Cyber Monday, of course, that's like a no-brainer. You want to have all of those items directly linked into that macro response, because people are going to be reaching out. Even if it's plastered in banners all over your site, 30% off these items, they're going to reach out and ask, hey, which items are on sale? And then you just have a real low-effort way to kind of resolve those. Next voted question, Natalie, I know you got to go very, very soon here. I do not know this at all. Frankie asked, is there's any plans to increase the amount of flows that can be active at a time?
Who asked this? Frankie? Is that the name I saw? Frankie, technically, no. I do not know of that being on the roadmap. I will say, though, I have sneakily gotten very good at kind of organizing flows in a way that you can kind of sneak some more. Feel free, just for the sake of time, if Matt, I'm assuming you have email or Frankie's contact information. Matt is the star of the show here and runs it. If you have a CSM, I can make sure you're connected. And if not, maybe I can just get you some like one-off office hours help and just send you like a little guide of how you can kind of squeeze more in than the current limit. But I will send that feedback regardless, just nothing on the roadmap.
Perfect. Yeah. And any other questions or types of feedback that you guys are submitting, especially in the questions tab, I will be collecting those and following up individually, trying to loop in. If it's a product related question, I'll of course try and include them to get you answers as well as I can. Yes. So Natalie, if you need to head out, I can totally take the Q&A portion from here, and I'm happy to stick around until people are satisfied with their answers before heading out. Or if you want to stay and answer, that's fine, but I can do this one.
I will hop off, so I'm not rude, because I'm definitely guilty of doing that. So if anybody's ever late to one of your calls, it's maybe me right now. Thank you all so much. Matt and I will make sure to follow up, and hopefully you learned something, and have a great day. Talk soon.
Thank you, Natalie. Really appreciate it. So this question is from Angie. This is asking if there's plans to provide statistics. Well, that's all right. If there's plans to provide statistics on the link clicked in chat campaigns, or ways to quantify how much the chat campaign is helping the sale. So Angie, this is exactly what is included with the Convert add-on. I hate to keep on plugging or pushing that specifically, but it does come with a dedicated statistics page. It has tons of revenue information on specific campaigns, basically how many clicks, what are potential drop-offs, all that kind of stuff. And I think that is probably exactly what you're looking for. Going to find a few more questions with lots of upvotes. Just to be clear, though, I am going to hang around for a couple more minutes. As long as you guys are in here and we're chatting, I'm happy to stick around. I don't have another call immediately after. Gabby asked, is there an example rule for proactive messages for delay shipment and have those responses prioritized? Okay, so proactive messages in response to delayed shipment questions. I believe that's pretty much your question. So this is pretty simple to set up, to be honest. It's just going to be an auto reply. I'll actually try and find in our help center. I think we have this in the rule library. We do have some rule templates as well, but I don't think this one is actually contained. Well, okay, so we used to call it rule library. Now it's actually all within rule templates. So my mistake there. Lots of naming conventions and things changing. So this is just going to be, yeah, I don't really have a concise one that I can pull up on screen off the top of my head. But pretty much the logic for that type of rule is going to be pretty simple. You might want to, number one, if you are an Automate add-on subscriber, you can include this type of messaging within the actual tracking link. So let's see. Not to jump into Natalie's portion of her webinar. She will be touching on this in the Loom that she's going to send. But even including here, so already this is part of that kind of forward resolution that Bree had mentioned, where we want to address as many of these types of hiccups as we possibly can, especially if we're already aware of delays or we're expecting delays even in our fulfillment process. You can go ahead and include this message within the actual order confirmation email. So this is a great way to kind of manage expectations up front, and then contained within this same message, there's tracking information. They can actually view their order or manage it, which is going to redirect them to that order management page, either within your help center or wherever else it might exist, even on a standalone site. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what you're looking for. So you can build a simple auto reply. You would basically just need to trigger based on keywords or phrases. So I would recommend trying to be as exclusive as you can, just so that this doesn't fire off to anyone asking about where their order is. But specifically when people mention delayed shipment, I was expecting this, those could be used as pretty safe triggers in this case. And then just sending an auto reply with tracking information or explaining the nature of your current delay. All right. I'm looking for maybe one more big question, and I'm also going to check regular chat here. So Sarah asked, will you be sending us all the answers to everyone's questions? I didn't thumbs up some questions, but I would also want answers too. Yeah, so I think that's a really good point, and this is something that I have taken away from some of our other Fireside Chats where, yeah, I'm going to loop in and group all of those questions together. I will need some time to basically meet with some, sometimes these questions are really specific product related questions, or I need to confirm some limitations or some of the whys and hows before actually getting back. So could be a day or two, but I will collect all of the unanswered questions that I didn't pull up on screen and address each of those individually there. So absolutely will include everyone. So apologies in advance. You're going to get at least one follow-up automatically after this session ends, which includes all of the resources. And then the next one, I'll actually bundle in the Loom along with the unanswered questions, I think, just to not give you guys too many extra emails here. So I do appreciate everyone being understanding with the time issue here. It was just a ton of content. I tried to jam this thing full, and I think it was just a little bit too much. So I definitely have some takeaways, but thank you all for being so engaged in chat and for sticking around until the end. I really hope this was helpful. And if you could, please stick around and leave some feedback, because literally my quarter depends on it. My success is really measured by what you guys think of my content. So once I conclude this, it's automatically going to redirect you to a short survey. Let us know how we did, good, bad, or somewhere in between. Any kind of feedback is helpful. So I really, really appreciate it. And I will be sending those follow-ups. Yeah, any feedback on follow-ups or processes you think we can improve in the future. If we need these sessions to be longer, let us know in that feedback section as well. So thank you guys again. Hope you all have a great rest of your week into the weekend, and we're all going to do well in Black Friday. I have strong hopes it's going to be a successful one. So see you guys. Thanks so much.